Hello and welcome to I'm making my own noise here. Faith Unfiltered. Hi, I am Marisely Marte, and welcome to my first episode of my podcast. So I want to be as honest and raw as I can be with you guys, okay? And I shouldn't be here. First of all, I shouldn't be behind this mic. I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't be sober after what I have experienced in the last 6 years of my life. I shouldn't be running a biblical counseling center, but I am here, guys. I kind of wrote a couple of things for me to talk about and for me to stay focused in this story, in this podcast, and everything that I'm going to say, because there is a lot, but I have shortened everything so that way it makes sense to you. It kind of makes sense to me. All right. So I'm not going to say this as a cute redemption story or a highlight moment for God. I am saying this right here, right now, is me telling you the truth. All right, so let's go back a little bit in regards to my history. I have been sober for 6 years and 4 months, but the life before that was nothing but chaos, guys. I was addicted to alcohol. I was emotionally broken. I lived a double life. I lied, I manipulated everybody. I hurt my kids. I cheated. I look worth in men. I used people. I screamed at God in the dark and pretended that everything was fine during the daytime. I ended up in a mental institution after a night of a dark moment in my life. I still don't remember everything. I don't remember what happened, but I remember some glimpse and parts of it. I physically attacked my daughter that night. I told my son that I hated him. I was arrested. I was actually running around the street naked. I was completely gone mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That was the end of me, guys. But it was also the beginning of something else, not a transformation, okay? Not yet, but it was the beginning of my breaking. That was a lot to say. I met my husband Pablo, my husband now, okay, in the middle of my mess. We got married fast, way too fast, guys. You have no idea how fast we got married. We brought hell into our marriage. He was somebody else. I was somebody else. He had his own sins. I had mine. We were both toxic people. We had no clue how to be married or how to communicate for that matter or how to be a whole. In 2015, I found out he was being unfaithful. I forgave him, not because I was healed, but because I was actually desperate for something different. In 2018, something happened in our living room back in Florida. He told me, I don't know how to worship the Lord. Can you help me? And right there, I saw what I couldn't see before for years. God had been breaking him too. And maybe, just maybe, God wasn't done with us. Let me talk about the scenario of how I started my business. And I had no business starting a business. I want to be real about this, guys. I started the Life Anchor Center thinking I was going to help women. I called myself a Christian coach. I built programs. I have followers. I had the right things, but I had no business starting a business. I didn't know truth. I was still dripping in false theology. I was still following these kingdom influence blueprints, still mixing trauma with hype and calling it healing. Can you believe that, huh? Still believing that success was meant to create reels, because that's what they told me, to start making money, and manifest wrapped in Jesus' name. How does that work? It doesn't. And now I sit here in my business with the weight of it. I am still here. I am still running the Life Anchor Center, but I'm learning to let God burn it down what wasn't built on His truth. because I don't want to keep repeating what the charismatic, emotional, driven, false gospel world does. I lived that, I preached that, and it almost destroyed me. I didn't come to Rochester. I was dragged. Okay, guys. I want to say we lost everything. It started back in 2017, but we lost everything in 2019. God brought us here to Rochester, New York, and I was so angry. I hated being here. I didn't want this place. I felt like God was punishing me. But now I look back, He wasn't punishing me. He was actually positioning us for sanctification. He was exposing what needed to be exposed in our lives, how to grow roots, not platforms, how to lean and how to learn on His word for real, not just for content, guys. I didn't want to come here willingly. I came here in pain, but I see it now. It had to be this way. Let's talk about my church hurt, false doctrine, and the toxic silence that I had. I watched people in these Christian circles protect sin while condemning truth. I seen false teachers, manipulation, deception, fake prophecy, cultural, and the pastor who refused to speak up. When my husband started calling some of these out in public, I got messages. Why are you letting your husband do this? How can you be okay with exposing churches? You're looking for attention. Let me tell you something. I stayed quiet for way too long. I saw too much. I heard too much. And I kept secrets that destroyed me in the inside. But not no more. I'd rather lose fake friends than betray the truth. I'd rather be misunderstood than to be in agreement with deception. This podcast, okay? This is a new podcast that I'm starting. We'll see what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to go through some of these conversations, who I'm going to have as a guest, what I'm going to say. I have no idea, right? But this podcast exists because I couldn't stay silent. This isn't about the deconstructing of my faith. This has to do about repenting from the faith I thought I had and learning who Christ really is. It hurts to look back, guys, and to see how much I didn't know. But I'm still here. I'm still learning. I am still struggling, guys. I am still showing up. And if you're listening to this, feeling lost, confused, angry at God, disillusioned by church people, you're not alone. Okay. You are not alone, guys. This podcast exists for women who have been through the fire and doesn't need another shallow devotional. Okay. I'm tired of these shallow things. This is for the ones who wake up with regrets and still wants truth. This is for the woman who left the lies but doesn't know where to land. That's where I'm at too. Okay, guys, we're going to walk this journey together. I want to share with you some of the scriptures that keep me grounded. John 17:17. It says, sanctify them in truth. Your word is truth. Ephesians 5:11. Have nothing to do with fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Psalms 34:18. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and save the crushed in spirit. All right. I'm not the girl from 2014. I'm not the drunk mom who beats on her daughter and blacks out. I'm not the fake Christian with deliverance declaration and no doctrine. I'm not a perfect wife or a perfect business owner. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect yet. Not yet. Not until I meet that glorification. Not until I meet Christ in heaven. Okay. I am a woman who is still in the fight. I am still growing. I am still being sanctified, still surrendering, and I'm still clinging to Christ. So that's where you are too. This podcast is for you guys. Welcome to Faith Unfiltered, where we cry, confess, and correct what needs to be corrected, where the gospel is real, where healing isn't always pretty, because healing is not pretty, guys. Healing is not a nice process, but is possible and is needed. Thanks for being here. We're just getting started, okay? The next episode, we will be talking about what it looks like to come out of charismatic chaos. All right. And how I didn't know how to pray anymore. That was also another chaos in my life, that I didn't know how to pray. So, yeah, we're just getting started. I hope to see you next time. Stay tuned. Follow me, like, comment if you want. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me why you're here. Tell me if this is something that you're going through. And I'll see you in my next episode. God bless.